It started at exactly 11:47 p.m. I know that because I looked at the clock and told myself, just 13 more minutes, and then you'll get some sleep. Spoiler, I didn't. The glow of my laptop screen lit up the room like a ghost. I hadn't turned on the lights in hours. My apartment was silent, too silent. The kind of quiet that doesn't comfort you, it corners you. I was supposed to be sleeping. Tomorrow, I had the biggest presentation of my career. Months of preparation, slides meticulously designed, numbers triple-checked. My promotion was riding on this. But instead of sleeping, I was arguing with myself. No, not quite myself. With a voice inside my head.
Familiar.
Sharp. Merciless. You're not ready. They're going to see right through you. You're not that smart. You just got lucky. I took a deep breath and closed my laptop. Maybe I could outbreathe it. Maybe if I sat still long enough, the thoughts would dissolve like steam from the coffee I shouldn't have drunk 4 hours ago. But the voice laughed. You really think breathing will help you now? I've dealt with anxiety before. It's been with me for years, showing up like a toxic friend who knows exactly when to ruin a good thing. But tonight, it didn't just show up. It moved in. I paced the room like a lawyer preparing for a trial I already knew I was going to lose. I tried logic. I've rehearsed. I know the material. They chose me to present for a reason. But anxiety doesn't care about facts. It only cares about what-ifs. What if your voice cracks? What if your mind goes blank? What if they just stare at you? I opened the fridge, closed it, walked to the window, sat on the couch, got up again. My thoughts were sprinting laps and dragging my body with them. At one point, I found myself in the bathroom staring at the mirror, not fixing my hair, not brushing my teeth, just looking. Looking for what? Reassurance? A sign I wasn't falling apart? But the reflection offered no help. My eyes looked tired, my skin pale, my expression unfamiliar. You're not just nervous. The voice whispered, you're defective. That one hit different. I turned on a meditation app. The narrator told me to visualize a calm ocean. But all I saw was a sinking ship. Every time I tried to pull myself out, breathe, count backwards, write down 3 things I'm grateful for, the voice just got louder. You really think you're fooling anyone? They're going to know you don't belong in that room. You've been faking it for years. Tomorrow they'll find out. It's strange. I wasn't in any real danger. No tiger, no gun to my head, no earthquake. Just thoughts. But those thoughts had claws. And they didn't just scratch, they dug in. I messaged a friend, just to feel less alone. Can't sleep. Mind won't shut up. They replied, take a melatonin. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. It felt like someone tossing me a matchstick while I was drowning. The worst part? I knew this wasn't rational. I knew it wasn't real. And yet, it felt more real than the floor beneath my feet. I sat back down on the couch, pulled a blanket over my shoulders, and tried to focus on something, anything, outside of me. But everything just echoed the same fear. Time crawled. The clock blinked 1:24 a.m., then 2:51 a.m., then 3:12. The voice never left. Sometimes it got quiet, just long enough for me to think I had control. Then it would say something subtle, simple, devastating. You don't deserve tomorrow. And that's when I stopped arguing. Not because I agreed, not because I gave in, but because I realized this wasn't a debate. This was war, and my own mind was holding the knife.
3:14 Uhr nachts.
I'm sitting on the kitchen floor, not because I wanted to, but because I ended up there, after pacing in circles trying to run away from something that was living inside me. The cold tiles pressed against my legs, grounding me just enough to remember where I was. But my head was somewhere else entirely. That voice, I wish I could explain it better. It's not like hearing someone else speak. It's hearing yourself speak, but saying things you would never dare say out loud. Things crueler than your worst enemy would say. Things no one else knows. But you do. You're a fraud. You've always been one bad day away from collapse. Tomorrow is that day. I try to reason with it. I've prepared. I've done the slides. I know the numbers better than anyone in that room. But it fires back instantly. And still, you'll freeze. You'll stutter like in 10th grade. Remember that? You're a ticking embarrassment. I get angry. I curse at it. Out loud. Shut up. Silence. For a second. Then laughter. Not real laughter. Not audible. Just a feeling. Like mockery. Like it's smirking at how predictable I am. I pull out my phone. Search how to calm anxiety at night. Tips flood the screen. Drink water. Do breathing exercises. Journal your thoughts. I do all three. Still, the voice says, "Gee, you think water can fix a broken brain?" I begin talking to myself in whispers, trying to control the narrative. This is temporary. You've survived nights like this before. You just need to get through a few more hours. But the voice changes strategy. It doesn't yell now, it whispers gently. That's when it's most dangerous. Wouldn't it be easier to just not go? To quit? Call in sick? Say you caught the flu? They'll find someone else. Someone better. And worst of all, no one would blame you. That thought sits with me like a stranger who won't leave the room. I stare at the ceiling. Think about my coworkers. My boss. The conference room. The screen. The silence. The eyes. I feel my chest tightening again. I try box breathing. For seconds in. Hold. For seconds out. Repeat. It helps. A little. Then I remember I left the pointer remote in my car. And the panic comes back like a tidal wave. My palms sweat. My throat closes. The voice says, "See? Already failing. You're not built for pressure." That's when I slam my hand on the floor and shout, "I'm not weak." But who am I talking to? Myself? Or this other version of me? Because that's what anxiety feels like sometimes. Not just a feeling, but a shadow version of you. One that knows all your secrets, all your insecurities, and uses them like weapons. I try to trick it. "Fine," I say. "You win. I'll cancel."
No presentation.
Pauses. "Really? You'll finally stop pretending?" "Yeah. I'll tell them I can't do it." The voice goes quiet. I feel a strange calm. But then it speaks again. "You know what they'll say, right? Told you he wasn't leadership material. They'll never trust you again. You're done." And just like that, my fake surrender backfires. Now it has new ammo. I feel cornered. No escape forward. No relief backward. This isn't a debate anymore. It's a hostage situation. And I'm both the hostage and the hostage taker. So I do the only thing left. I cry. I sit there, on the kitchen floor, as the voice rants in the background like a broken radio. Tears fall. Shoulders shake. And for the first time all night, I don't fight back. I just let myself fall apart. Not forever. Just for now. Because somehow letting go feels safer than resisting.
4:02 nachts.
I'm still on the kitchen floor. The tiles are colder now, or maybe my body's just too tired to generate heat. My hands feel numb. My eyes sting from the tears that come and go in waves. My mind is still screaming, but my body is done. I'm not fighting anymore. For the last hour, I've cried on and off. Not sobbing, not dramatic, just leaking, like a faucet that won't shut tight. The kind of crying that's quiet and slow, but somehow heavier than anything loud. I don't remember the last time I let it out like this. I've always tried to manage my anxiety, breathe through it, rationalize it, contain it. But tonight, it broke through every wall I built. And here I am, raw, exposed, helpless. That's the word I keep circling back to, helpless. I feel like I've lost control of the one thing I thought I still had, myself. What's wrong with you? Why are you like this? Normal people don't fall apart over a presentation. The voice doesn't need to scream anymore. Now it whispers like poison. Now it's me. I've internalized it. I've become it. I start to think about childhood, how even back then, I overthought everything. At age 9, I couldn't sleep before the school play because I was sure I'd mess up my one line. At 14, I had a full-blown panic attack before asking a girl to homecoming. At 18, I canceled a college interview because I thought they'd see right through me. And now, as an adult, I realize I never outgrew it. I just learned how to hide it better. I've smiled through meetings, joked through stress, nodded through fear, but it was always there, right under the surface. And tonight it erupted. I look at the clock again.
4:19 Uhr nachts.
If I don't sleep now, I won't sleep at all. But every time I close my eyes, I see myself standing in that boardroom, freezing, forgetting my words, fumbling with the slides, people whispering, people laughing. Of course, none of that has happened. But try telling that to my brain. Try telling that to the small, frightened part of me that still thinks perfection is the only way to survive. I wrap the blanket tighter around myself and crawl back to the couch. I don't want comfort. I want escape. But there's nowhere to go. Because the war isn't outside me. It is me. And then, somewhere between 4:30 and 5:00 a.m., something shifts. I stop crying. Not because things got better. Not because I found peace. But because I ran out of energy. My thoughts are still racing, but slower now. Like a storm that's losing wind. The voice is still there, but fainter. Less aggressive. Less hungry. And in the quiet that follows, I whisper something I haven't said to myself in years. I'm trying. I'm really trying. And just like that, something in me softens. The voice doesn't reply. For the first time in 8 hours, it doesn't argue back. It doesn't mock me. It just backs off. And I wonder, was that what it needed? Not resistance. Not denial. Just acknowledgement. I close my eyes. My heart still races. My chest still feels tight. But in that moment, I feel something I hadn't felt all night. Stillness. It's not peace. It's not joy. But it's the absence of chaos, and that, for now, is enough. I don't fall asleep. Not really. But I drift. Somewhere between exhaustion and surrender. And for the first time all night, I stop trying to fix myself. I just let myself be.
6:38 Uhr morgens.
The alarm goes off. I don't remember falling asleep because I didn't. I just drifted. Eyes closed, thoughts open. Half conscious, half numb. Now the buzz of my phone slices through that fog. I don't reach for it. I just lie there on the couch, the blanket still wrapped around me like armor that did nothing. My mouth is dry. My shoulders ache. My brain is slow like it's trudging through molasses. But I can still feel the tension pulsing behind my eyes, reminding me that the war isn't over. It's just morning now. I sit up. My spine cracks. My muscles protest. And there it is, the thought. You can still call in sick. I stare at the phone on the table. It would take 2 taps. One message. Not feeling well. Won't be able to present today. True. Sort of. I imagine the reactions. The confusion. The disappointment. I imagine the relief. And for a brief, dangerous moment, I consider it. Then I look at my work badge hanging by the door. That stupid laminated piece of plastic that says I belong somewhere. I think about the slides I built, the late nights, the revisions, the hours I spent rehearsing in front of my bathroom mirror, pretending to be confident. I think about the voice, the one that told me I'd choke, the one that made me doubt every cell in my body, the one that almost convinced me not to try. And I realize something.
I'm tired.
Not just physically. I'm tired of surrendering to something that never earned its power. Because that's what anxiety does. It doesn't wait for evidence. It writes the story before anything even begins. And I've been reading its script for years. I stand up, slowly, like someone relearning how to walk. I go to the bathroom, look in the mirror. I expect to see someone broken. But I don't. I see someone wrecked, yes, but still standing. Still here. I brush my teeth, splash water on my face, comb my hair. Each motion feels deliberate, like I'm rebuilding myself piece by piece. In the kitchen, I make toast. I don't eat it, but I make it. That feels like something. I sit down and open my laptop one last time. The presentation is there, glowing on the screen.
Familiar.
Organized. Ready. I'm not sure I am. But maybe that's not the point. Maybe the point isn't being ready. Maybe it's showing up anyway. At 7:25 a.m., I get dressed. Nothing fancy, just enough to look like I know what I'm doing. I pick up the pointer remote I left charging by the lamp. My hands are still a little shaky. My breath still catches in my chest. The voice stirs again, groggy but alive. You sure you want to do this? And for the first time, I don't argue. I just whisper back, I'm not doing this for you. I grab my bag, put on my coat, and head toward the door. My heartbeat drums in my ears, but this time, it doesn't scare me. It reminds me, I'm alive. I'm still in this. And as I step outside, into the pale morning light, something becomes clear. I didn't beat my anxiety. I didn't silence it, but I chose to walk with it instead of letting it chain me down. And that is a decision.
9:03 morgens.
The meeting is already in session when I arrive. People are scattered around the boardroom table, sipping coffee, flipping through handouts. A few glance up as I walk in. No one gasps. No one points. The world doesn't stop. I'm just another person entering a room. But to me, it feels like walking into fire. My palms are slick. My stomach rolls. My heart beats steady but loud, like a distant drum reminding me where I've been. I set up quickly.
Laptop.
HDMI. Clicker. It all feels automatic muscle memory. Outside, I'm calm. Inside, still chaos but quieter now. Someone cracks a joke about not needing coffee after my presentations. I force a laugh. I think they believe it. As I wait for my cue to start, I glance out the window. Sunlight hits the edge of the conference room table. It looks warm, ordinary, like the kind of morning most people don't notice. I do, because this morning almost didn't happen for me. When it's my turn, I stand. Legs stiff, but steady. I take a breath. Not a perfect one. Not that deep yoga instructor kind of breath. Just enough. I begin. And the words come. Not because I'm confident. Not because I've silenced the voice. But because I'm moving anyway. Slide by slide, I tell the story I was meant to tell. About the numbers. The vision. The ideas I believe in. And something strange happens around minute 6.
I forget I'm afraid.
Not completely. Not forever. But for those few moments, I'm not performing for approval or battling shame. I'm present. I'm just here. And when I finish, there's silence. Not awkward. Not dismissive. Just thoughtful. Then someone claps. Then another. And just like that, it's done.
No fireworks.
No standing ovation. But I didn't need that. I needed this. I needed to prove to myself that I could show up even when my mind begged me not to. After the meeting, my manager pats me on the shoulder. Says, "You looked calm up there." I smile. He doesn't know the storm that happened before dawn. The war waged on tile floors and beneath blankets. The voice I fought for 8 hours straight. But I don't tell him, because that war was mine and surviving it was enough. As I leave the building, stepping out into the mid-morning sun, I pause. Not to take a photo, not to celebrate, but to feel it. The air, the warmth, the quiet. No one around me notices. Cars drive by, a bus honks. Life moves on. But I stand still just for a second. And I do something I've never done before. I place a hand gently over my chest, over the place that hurt the most last night. And I whisper, "Thank you." Not to the world. Not to anyone else, but to me, to the version of me that sat through the worst night and didn't walk away, to the version of me that didn't win but stayed, to the version of me that's been carrying this weight for years, quietly, courageously. That's what no one talks about with anxiety. It doesn't always end in triumph. There isn't always a cure. Sometimes the victory isn't defeating the voice. It's hearing it and going forward anyway. And that deserves a salute. So I take one deep breath, not to calm myself, but to honor myself. And then I walk on.